Hello everyone, it's Marie from Skeletorama again. Welcome back to my channel. Give it a house shift. How's everybody doing? I'm doing alright. So I'm finally, after the super long video stuff for the miniatures, two of which I still have to finish editing, getting back to the journal. So that'll be fun. So what we're going to do today is we are going to actually get to play with some of the ephemera, finally, that comes in the kit. So what I want to do is I want to work on the cover. So here's our journal here, and I'll take the tassel off. It's so funny because, you know, it's like, oh, let's make the tassel and then let's remove it every 2 seconds. But anyways, we're going to do a cover on here. So I'll bring in the old one and show you this just to compare here. So this is the cover from the previous one. And so what I did is I have some larger pieces of ephemera. So this is this picture. It was just done on a different kind of paper. So that's why it looks so much different. But I accidentally put like this sparkle paper in there. Whoopsie. And yeah, came out cool, but still. So that's what we're going to do. So we get to pick which one is going to go in here. So since I used this one for the other one, I don't want to use this. So I've already kind of gone through and looked at some of the larger pieces. And out of the larger pieces, probably these two are the front runners, both Blarney Castle. And then I remembered, oh yeah, I did my postcard set, right? Postcards are about the same size too. Surprise, surprise, because that was a postcard at one point. And I do have some that are portrait. So this one actually might also be a contender for it. And there's going to be lots of other stuff going on with it. But so it's down to between these three for the cover piece. And then I also got a piece of, let's see, we'll use this as a placeholder because this is, so far this is my favorite for on here. I also got a piece of chipboard that I thought was really cool that would go perfectly with it. And it is this, and I'm going to show you the back of it first, but it's this. This is a shamrock vine, right? And you'll notice I have colored it black with my Copic marker, and you're like, that's weird because shamrocks aren't black. Well, there's a reason for that. What we're going to do is we're going to emboss it. So I'll bring it up here first, and see, this can go on the cover like this as part of the decoration. I thought that would look really cool. So let's move this out of the way here. And I'll put this on here so you can see it. So what I did first was the embossing powder I have is this. This is Emerald Creek. It's a Mardi Gras one, right? So it's got green and gold and a bunch of stuff in it, but I wasn't really sure how that was going to look on here. And I didn't want to put it on this and have it look terrible and then I couldn't use it. So what I did was I took a couple other pieces of chipboard that I had. I'll bring these out so you can see. And so I also have this black Ranger Emboss It pen. So I thought, you know, I wonder how it would look with the black underneath. So this right here is the one that was done just plain on the chipboard, nothing done to the chipboard. And then this is the one that was done with the black under it. And I really like how it makes the colors stand out a lot more in here. And you can see some of the purple. That's why I wasn't 100% sure about it, but I think it still looks pretty good. So that's what we're going to do with this. But the other thing that I did notice is that since this is such a chunky glitter, see, it seems like it's coming off on my hands, that or I just didn't, you know, heat it long enough. It could be that. So I have another one. Get these put away here. I have another one here, and this is the Seth Apter Vintage Beeswax Baked Texture. So I thought, you know, this would probably be good if I put this on first, because since I'm going to have to use my Versamark ink pad, if there's glitter, I already got glitter on that. I don't know if you can see that. And I hadn't even glittered anything yet. So I don't know how I did that one, but it's magic, I guess. So I figured I'll put the beeswax on first, the texture, and then let it cool. And then I can put this back in the Versamark and then put the Mardi Gras on it. And it'll all kind of melt together. And this will help hold the glitter from this. So that's my plan. We'll see how that works out because, you know, I haven't tried it yet. So, because that's just how I do. And then also I want to put some of the book corners on as well to protect the book. So I'll show you how to do that. And then depending on how long it takes to do the cover, since I have my Versamark and everything out, I do have in the ephemera sets here, I've got a lot of the little postage stamps. And so I was thinking it might be fun to take those and put some embossing on them to use later for decoration and things. So we can use the Celtic. And I got some of the Distress Embossing Glaze. So this stuff is, it's an embossing powder, but it's translucent. I haven't used it before, so this will be interesting. I got the vintage photo because, of course, I love vintage photo. So that's what we're going to do. So I'm going to straighten some of this stuff up, and we will, I think, start to play with that first, because that's going to be the messiest. All right, so what do we need to do the embossing? We need, obviously, embossing powder. We need an ink pad, so I like to use a Versamark. It's a watermark. It's specifically used for embossing, pretty much. You can also use pigment ink. Any ink that stays wet long enough to grab onto the powder will work, but I just prefer the Versamark. And a heat gun. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to do it kind of in sections. So I use a piece of paper, and I fold it in half, put a nice good crease down the middle when I do it, because you're going to, put this in the Versamark, you're going to dump the powder on, then you want to dump the powder back in the container before you, start throwing your heat gun around willy-nilly, otherwise you'll end up melting it, and that gets real expensive real quick. So that's what we're going to do with that. And so what we'll do is I'm going to do it kind of in sections. So I'll do probably this section, and then this middle section, this end section. Because I never think the Versamark's going to stay wet long enough. It does, but also it'll kind of eliminate the thing where you're having to hold it with tweezers while you use the heat gun and all that stuff. But so I'll be able to actually hold it in the places that aren't being dealt with. And the embossing powder will melt into itself just fine. So it's not like you're going to notice. So we're going to use the vintage beeswax Celtic baked texture first. This is also Emerald Creek, I believe. And then once we're done with that, then we'll put the Mardi Gras on, same way. So while I use the heat gun, I will be fast forwarding that, mainly because it takes a minute, but also because I don't think you want to hear the heat gun. So, but part of watching the stuff melt is like the coolest part of the whole thing. So I have this open, but out of my reach, so I'm not going to knock it over. So you just take your ink pad and you take your thing. And like with this, you're just going to kind of press it down into it. So we're just doing this first top section here. And you want to look and make sure, kind of turn it into the light so you can see it reflect the ink on there to make sure you got a good amount. I'm just going to do a little bit more. And then put this on here. Oh, no, I can tell right now this shamrock's not quite gotten it. There we go. Now it does. All right, and then we're just going to take this, we're going to sprinkle it over the top. Now this stuff is really chunky because it does this real cool texture finish. Okay, so you've got the powder on there. Now I take this and fold it like so and pour it right back in there. You will get embossing powder everywhere, it's just how it works, but at least this kind of helps. And then I always put the top on and close it because it's to save me from myself. So anyways, I'm going to put this up here where y'all can see it. You want your heat gun, and you want to let it get warm up a little bit, and then put it on to your stuff that you're going to melt in. So I'll bring it up here so you guys can see. Okay, and as you can see, we're starting to get a little bit of texture and have that reflect the light a little bit. So with the embossing powder, it's melted because it completely changes color. So I can see in here, I can use a little bit more of that. So I'll probably go over this again. I just like to let it cool down a little bit before I do. And we'll just keep repeating the process until we get it where we want it. So that's much better, and we'll probably be good with that for now just because I'm putting a different powder on top of it, so it should be fine. And so I'm going to work my way down, and I'll come back to you when this is good. And then with these things, these do get rather hot, and just make sure that your embossing powder has cooled before you go to grab it or you'll put a fingerprint in it. So. So that is our beeswax texture that we put on there, and see how it's made it nice and shiny. So now I'm going to use the Mardi Gras, which is more of a glitter, and even though it has, you know, stuff in here to make it stick as well, I think the beeswax will really help it. So we will do the same process. Bring the paper back in here where you can see, and that actually looks, oops, as I dropped my heat gun, it's all good. Actually looks pretty cool. And the glitter doesn't seem to want to come off like it did on the other ones. It does have a little bit more purple than you know, you would expect on something on an Irish journal, but it looks really cool. Adds kind of a cool shade to it. All right, so that's going to be going on the front. So we'll clean this mess up, and we'll work on the book corners and then figure out what we want to do for our actual picture and start getting that one going. Okay, so I brought the book back in so we can take a look at our different candidates. So I have this one here from the ephemera. I have this one here, which would need a lot to help with the contrast, I think. And then I went ahead and took the other one and I cut it out as a postcard and scored it and all that, because if it doesn't make the cut on the cover, well, I can use it as a postcard. Neat, huh? And so we have this one here as well. So I'm kind of now, I'm between these two here. So let's put this one back, because I really like that one. And then we will put it with our fancy shiny thing here, which looks pretty cool. And I'm still undecided. Why? Okay, usually what happens when I get undecided like that is I make a cover thing for both, and then I just kind of audition. So this will go on obviously last once the cover is decided on and glued in place, so we'll set that to the side. So we're still between these two. So while we think about that, it's time to put the book corners on. So these are a good way to protect the corners of your book, especially because when you put your cover and stuff on, that's going to be your weakest point, and they get crunched really easy and everything. So I use the Tim Holtz Ideology ones. I have tried other ones, and these are just my absolute favorite for the way they fit when you make this kind of a cover. A lot of other book corners are designed for the thicker, like book board, gray board, which is a decent amount thicker than that. So they don't quite fit correctly. These do. I'm going to use the gold ones on it. And these are super easy. So this is the book corner here, okay? And you have it like this. And so it's going to sit on here like this. And then we're going to fold these metal tabs over and press them down. So in order to keep these on here nice and secure, of course, it's metal. So I'm going to use my E6000. Let's see here. Let's fix the lighting a little bit, so hopefully that'll make it a little easier to see. Get these guys over here. All right, so I just take one of the book corners, and that's two of them stacked together. That would be bad. and the E6000, and it's just the tiniest little dabs. So I put pretty much one dot on this. Oh, you're a brand new bottle, don't you even start. Okay, and one on here, because otherwise it's just going to squish out, so I'm not going to do you any good. And I put a little tiny dab on each of the flaps here. It doesn't take much, and it's just kind of give it some extra security. So then I take it, sit it on here, push it nice to the edge, flip it over, and I do the first kind of press of these with my thumbs. And then I bring out my pliers and do it very gently while you're holding it, and keep kind of pressing it into that corner, because of course when you're pressing these down, it's going to want to kind of push this way. So make sure you're still in your corner good. Get these pressed down nice and flat all along the length of it. And make sure we're in the corner. And see, there you go. And then I usually take a baby wipe and just make sure that any of the E6000 that's kind of oozed out, I get to it before it ends up making that section kind of shiny. Okay, so I will do the other three on fast forward. So there we have it. We have our corners nice and protected. And then with the decorative element on, unlike the last time I did it, I won't have to do anything weird to my cover image because I messed that one up. But yeah, it makes it look nice and finished with those. And again, it's going to protect the corners of your book, and that's really why you want to use them, because the corners can take a lot of damage taking it in and out of a bookcase, that sort of thing. Okay, so there we are with that. Let's sit this up here just for a minute. Okay, we're going to bring our two pieces back out. So as you can see with the previous one, I like to do a lot of layers. So I'll have the picture, I'll have some other stuff with it, and the paper and then kind of the cheesecloth on here. So, you don't need a huge image for your front. You can make it into a huge image by adding all the different layers. And then I like to sew around it before I put it down. So what I've done is I have gotten a selection of different papers. Whoa, white balance, hello. Let's see if this will even. There we go. Wow. Yeah, I knew this was going to be shiny, but holy crap. All right, so I have a bunch of different ones, all either green or gold. I've got one silver in there to use with the cover. So let's pick, yeah, I really like this one. This is like an emerald hessian is what it's called. Let's take this out of the package, shall we? There we go, that's much better. Okay, so this is a nice dark green, and of course now with the white balance, it's a little too dark in here. So, let me take a few of these pages out and come back, and we'll do it so we can all see. That might be fun. Okay, that is much better, much less glare. You can actually see, it's not quite as dark. So these again are our pictures, and so I usually like to use some kind of a specialty paper underneath it, because they have a lot of texture to them. So these are Bitonic, and I generally use one of two kinds. I either use the embossed card, which is thicker. It's just been kind of embossed on. This one is a pearl damask. I don't know if you can even see that with the glare, but very pretty. Or the cotton handcrafted papers, which are like, this is one. And you can tell because they're very soft and bendy and pliable, and they tear really, really nicely. So if we take these, I'm really liking this one. This is the first one that I picked out. So this is that emerald hessian, and it actually works with both of these. a silver back like that. And let's grab this out and see how it looks with this. So obviously you want to work with this, and it looks good with this. It definitely blends with the colors and things, whereas I think, you know, this is just, it's too dark. So that's not going to work. So we can rule that one out right away. The pearl is nice, but I think it might be a little too light unless we wanted to use it as kind of a contrast layer, say between this and something else. But for now, we'll just set this over here. And I want to do these each with 2 different ones too, so we have some options. And then whichever one doesn't make it on the cover, we'll make it somewhere on the inside. So it's definitely not going to go to waste or anything. So we'll set this on the side, go back to this. So definitely love this with both of these. It really makes the colors pop on those. Let's see, I used this, or a version of so the last time. Okay, see how this works with this. Put this a little more in the center here. This one works with this one, but not quite as much with this one. So if I wanted to use 2 different colors, we got 2 front runners there. This, I love this gold, but it looks way too yellow. And I do have it the right side, okay. It looks a little too yellow with this, kind of bordering on, I don't know, some kind of scarecrow looking color. So we'll move that. All right, next up we have this one. This is one of the handcrafted papers. It's a Mermaid Tail. And this looks cool, but it's actually kind of blue. Kind of reads a little bit blue to me. So we'll remove that. Just kind of process of elimination with a lot of these. Now this is really cool. This looks good with this one and this one. So that's a maybe. Let's check this other gold. This is a lot more of a subtle, like a champagne gold. Which works nicely with that one and that one, but I think it's going to be a little too light on there. So, oh, we're down to 3. So do we use that green? I'm definitely using this green or the gold. You know what? Yeah, I'm liking the gold better. Now we have to decide which one do we put on which. I'm actually leaning a little towards the green for both of them, but that one kind of washes that out, but it does pop on here. And this one, it really pops on there. It really pops on here too. So I think we'll do this one on this and this one on this. That'll work. And so since we're going to use this as a cover picture, we can go ahead and separate it from the back of the postcard, because we can use the back of the postcard for something else as well. There's the part where I, in theory, cut a straight line. Probably not. It's not too bad. Around the corners here a little bit. All right, there we go. And then we'll set that aside for something else. Okay, so we have this one and this one. So with these, I prefer to tear around them. So what I'll do is I'll put it again on fast forward, because I'm trying really hard not to do, 17-hour videos. I really am, but this stuff takes time. So any of the parts where it's pretty obvious, I'm just going to do the fast forward thing, I think. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tear the edges here and here, and then I'm going to put this and hold this on here to get it to about the shape I want, because this is just one of what's going to be several layers. And when you're tearing your paper, you're going to have where it's going to have one really white edge and one not white edge. It depends on which direction you tear it. So I want this part here to have the non-white edge. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to tear it down away from it. Okay, so see I've got that white edge there, but I don't here. That's how you get around that. And these little scraps I absolutely save, because I use them as decoration on tags and envelopes and stuff like that. So nothing goes to waste, especially this paper, because it's not the cheapest paper ever, but it's really cool, and they were having their warehouse sale, and I went a bit nuts. So let's see, let's hold this about here, and I think I'll tear it about there. And so on this, I'm going to tear up, because again, I want this to have the straighter edge. And so now I'm going to hold this here and see, okay, about where do I want to tear it? And again, this not being straight works for me as well, because then it gives some asymmetry kind of to it. So I don't want to have a huge border, probably about there. In this one, you do want to try to be fairly careful and not, at least don't tear in, you know, like I'm going out on accident, so that works. Wow, look at that. That's, yeah, brilliant. So I will fix that, but it's easier to fix this way. So I don't have as much, you know, keeping it from being straight. Because I've done that where I've gotten it on there. It's like I've torn it and I've kind of drifted this way, and then it was too small. It's like, really? Okay, so there is the frame piece for this for now. This in the center so you can see it. So we'll set this to the side. And we're going to do the same for this piece. So now we have both of these, and sorry about the brightness over here, but if I do it for this, then we can't see that. So we're just going to kind of have to, if I switch places. No, not really. Anyway, so these are a bit larger than they need to be, because again, it's better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it. So these will probably be torn down a little bit, or another layer will go on here. So let's bring the book back. Have our book back in here. The other thing we need to be mindful of is, does it fit? So let's untie that just so I don't have the bow quite in my way there. Okay, so this fits just fine as is. So we can leave that there. And we can actually bring our shamrock in to kind of get a bit of an idea of how that'll look on there. Let me change the lighting. There we go. That's a little bit better. Okay, so this is about how this will look with that on there. And I can already tell you right now the other one's going to need to be brought a little bit down in size, because yeah, see, that's just a bit too big. Tear this down. If it's too big for the cover, you know, when you go to use it on the inside, it'll be too big for the inside too. So you definitely want to just go ahead and get it the correct size now. All right, let's see how that looks. There we go, that's much better. And then if we bring our shamrocks over, so those look nice right there as well. Although they do pop much better, obviously, on the lighter color. So, all right. Now that we know they'll fit, and we know that we really don't want to extend too much beyond the edge of this one for sure. This one we can go a little bit farther. Let's go ahead and ink the edges of that. Now with these as well, you can tear the edges on these too, which I think I might do with this one. I don't think it would look right with this one, but this one it might. So I'm going to do that. And this, just tear just the tiniest bit off of it. Okay, that looks much better to me there. So we're going to ink the edges on this. And I've got gathered twigs here. It's just a nice brown color. Gives that kind of sepia tone. Not everybody inks their edges. I do generally. Just because I hate seeing that raw paper core on it. And I like everything kind of antiqued and vintage anyway, so kind of my thing. And this one, yeah, this one looks better just as the postcard with the straight edges, but usually I prefer to have the torn edges. Okay, so we have this one here and this one here. So now we get to decide what do we want to put as other layers for this. I'll probably use cheesecloth underneath, but then again I might use it on the top here. But now, since I did my Ireland set with the papers and the postcards, I think I'm going to use some of the papers from that. So that way I don't have to use up one of the actual pages, which is nice. So we've got that one there. I like that one. I like this one. Yeah, I like those two. All right, so with these, what we can do is we can make, you know, say another border. So if you put this in here, that would actually look better with this one here. You can have this here, and then you can kind of tear around the edges, you know, however you want to make a border. It doesn't have to be underneath the whole thing. It can just be a strip underneath part of it. So we'll start doing some of that and see what we like best. So. So let's look at this one and see, now how would this look with it under the entire thing? And we can go ahead and tear it out and find out, because if we do decide that we want to use strips, well, we're going to be tearing that anyway. So and with this, I don't really care whether it's got the big white edge or not, just because I'm definitely going to be using the distress ink on it. And I kind of like it with the History of Ireland up at the top there. So we'll take a little bit, and then these all will definitely get saved because they can be used as texture layers on lots of other things. So let's see, probably about here. Definitely want to at least, you know, see the text if that's why you're putting it on there. All right, so we got this and this. And then we'll want this a little bit smaller just to not, you know, cover up the this paper down here. So I'll maybe take a little bit off the bottom. And then a little bit off the side. I actually kind of like the way that one tore on that side, so we'll take a little off this side. Okay, there we go. That looks pretty cool like that. I actually like that quite a bit, where it's got the History of Ireland up there at top. Okay, so we'll do that one as a full one. Now let's see if this one will, yeah, not really. So this one maybe we'll do more of the strips. So just kind of take where it's got a lot of the white part, because, you know, I really want the text. That's the whole reason I'm using it. So we'll tear this text block here out, nice and close to the edge. Clean these edges up a little bit. Sorry if you hear the extra noise. We live next to an airport, which is just a joy, because the military likes to do their test flights and training flights and stuff out of there, and that gets really super loud sometimes. Okay, so let's see. We'll just do a strip like so. And then we'll have the bottom strip. Just kind of go off at an angle on this one too. And that can get saved for something else. So we can take this and have this here, and then poking out down here. You can see a lot more of the gold and stuff on it, like that. which looks kind of cool, but there's not a heck of a lot of contrast there. Well, we're going to ink the edges of this too, so that I will fast forward through so you don't have to sit through the entirety of it. So now that those are inked up, that may give us a little bit more contrast. I went ahead and darkened these pages up too to see if maybe that would do a little bit. Yeah, that works pretty good. Again, we have some other stuff we can do to it. So same with this one. So one of the other things that I do to kind of get a little bit of the contrast on the edges, which we'll get a little bit of it when we sew anyway, is I have these, which are the Art Alchemy gilding waxes. So sometimes I'll do that, let's say around the picture, or like around the text on here. So I'll just grab one of these pieces and kind of show you how these look on there. You know, if I can open it. There we go. Now it looks frightening like that. It's just because the beeswax and stuff will kind of migrate out. But this is like a green. So we can kind of do, well, a little bit better of a job. Do the edges in this. And this, you do kind of want to let it dry. This particular one has, it's the antique brilliance, so it's got an antiquing tone. That's why it looks kind of brown in that one spot. And then we'll grab a different one. I also have the aged brass. And so this is just a regular, it's not the antiquing wax, but as you can see, we can kind of go along these edges here, and it adds a nice subtle highlight, and you can go as crazy as you like with it, of course, but it adds a nice subtle highlight that kind of helps define the edges of it. So a lot of times if I'm doing something, you know, I'll do the edge of, say, the photograph. Well, I'm going to sew around that, so that would be kind of a waste. But I'll show you on here as an example. We'll move these. So if I put that on here and can figure out how to hold it, see how it just kind of gives it that just little subtle, really shows you that edge there. This one will be even more dramatic because it's the green in there. See, that's giving you kind of a, it's really setting that edge off a bit, but not overwhelming it too much. But this one you do have to watch because it's that antiquing one, so it'll look kind of weird sometimes on the edges. So you can see. See, and it's got that nice green. And this is just a straight, it's brass because I don't have the gold one. If I had the gold one, I'd use the gold one, but I don't. So it's close enough. But, so these might be cool to put on the edges of things. Let's put these back where they go. On there. So I think this one would actually benefit from having the gold on it, just because it's really going to pop against that green. So I think I will do that. See how it's given us just that additional kind of contrast on the edge, and then we have this part here. So that really kind of made that jump out a little bit more. So I really like the way that came out. On the fence about putting the green on here though, just because it's that antiqued brilliance one, and it can go one of a couple ways. But you know what we can do, even though I'm going to sew over it, you'll still see some of it. Let's put the green on this. let that kind of dry a little bit and see if I can grab some more stuff for us to use for layers, and I'll be right back with you. And before I do that, let's go ahead and sit this on here so you can kind of see the difference that that makes with the contrast on the edges. Okay, so I will be right back. All right, so I have kind of straightened up one mess, brought out another mess, as I always do. So we've got our two things here. I brought out some options of things we can use. This is, if you remember, the ribbon from the Oopsie with the closure. I've got these. We can maybe put some cloth strips behind parts of it. So I just grabbed a couple of those. This, which actually I was thinking would look really nice under this image, so we're going to try that for sure. Of course, my cheesecloth. So this is my coffee dye, the cheesecloth. I get it in the package and I just leave it rolled up like it comes, and pull the little, sometimes it's got cardboard in it. I'll pull that out and I just take it and I dunk it in the coffee and I squeeze it out, and then I unroll it like this and let it dry. That way it has all sorts of different variations to it. And that'll probably be going under there. We have this paper. This is left over from when we made the seam binding, when we did the seam binding, and this went into some of the texture clusters, but this can also be used, say, you know, under here. You can still see the writing through it, but it gives you kind of more contrast, that sort of stuff. And then I have the Mulberry Papers as well. So these are the handmade Mulberry Papers that I got on Amazon for a really good price. I got that. A few different options with it there. I'm not sure if I want to use these, but I also have, this is some of the regular wax paper that was used to do the coffee staining underneath my paper, and I kind of hang on to it because this works nice under these as well. So let's take a look. Should probably do one at a time instead of trying to do both for this portion of it. So I'm going to take this one, set it aside, and put that aside, and we're going to look at this one. So we've got these here. We've already done the edges of it, so that kind of sets it apart. I'll bring it up here a little closer so you can see how it kind of just really shows those edges off a little bit better, and because you've got gold and then you've got a tan, so there's no real contrast there. But when I pulled out this little scrap, I was thinking, you know, I bet this would look really cool just under here, just ever so slightly. I'd have to go this way. Ever so slightly here, and then the text might look neat. So don't know until you try. So let's try and see how it looks. So of course I'm going to be tearing this. I'll get my small scissors for that. And we'll go in a little bit just because this doesn't like to, if you do too small of a thing, it doesn't want to tear. Ta-da! So we've got that edge there. Fluff that out. And we're going to do the side edges too. And then these can be used, these are great for tags, to use as your ribbon in your tags. The extra. Same with this, and actually let's put this here so that we rip this down to about where we need it. So probably about there. So I only want the tiniest bit poking around it, because then, you know, I don't want to lose my Irish book page, because I love it. All right, get that fluffed out, and then again we'll hold this here. Scoot this down, and again just the littlest tiniest border, but to where you can still see it. All right, ta-da! Get all the extra, you know, when you pull those extra threads, you get the nice edges that are all fluffy. Okay, so go back here, and the nice thing with this too is we can move these out a bit, because they're not, you know, just one size like the other one is. So if we put this on here and place this on here, how does that look? It's really covering up a lot of that book page. I wonder, no, I don't think that would. Let's see. Oh, that would have maybe worked. Maybe. Because I do have more of this. Yeah, because I don't want to lose my book page. But see, if we put the book page on this and then this on this, it really does stand out a little bit better. But obviously now this is too small for it. But we don't have to do both sides. You can also do it like this. But that looks really off balance. Yeah, nope. And see, now if I put these down and put this back, it's going to look super boring, isn't it? Yes, it is. Oh, I really like that green on there. Let's go back to the original idea where it's just around the image and then the book page text is poking out. Or not so much. Nope. Okay. Yeah, nope. Gotta be one or the other. Okay. There we go. So what we can do as well is we can always take this in a little bit if we need to. It's always hard to get this on here right, you know, because it's wanting to move around because nothing's glued down, of course. Okay. Like that, and then like this, which actually I do like because it's got, I mean, this is nice and subtle. This can even go all the way to the edge of the gold. Gold doesn't have to be seen all the way around, and then we just see it on the two corners, which actually I kind of like that. I think we might go with that. And then if I want, I can do cheesecloth on the outside. We'll just kind of sit it on here just to get kind of an idea of how to look with the cheesecloth. I do have black cheesecloth as well, but we may not need that. Okay, so let's go ahead and commit to some of this. And let's bring our book out and we'll kind of audition it on the front. See, now that looks good. I like that. And then this is, you know, providing the contrast for this piece here. And of course we will have our shamrock vine probably down here like this. So it kind of is holding the picture up, I guess you could say. All right, so there's that one. And we will sit this to the side and grab our other one. All right, so the question is, what do we want to do with this one here? So, I wonder how this would look with this underneath it. Let me test it out. Yeah, that's way too much, so let's go ahead and put that back. Maybe this. This is nice and see-through. So this can go under this. How does that look under that? No. Yeah, that's the thing with this. It's just kind of a back and forth, back and forth. So now we can do what we did with the other one. Here, let's tear this in half this way. And go like this. We'll put a little bit under each corner and see how that looks. So, like that. And then we'll do kind of a wider bit down here, just so it's a little less even. Okay, kind of looks cool. Can leave that for now. I think we might do the cheesecloths, because yeah, this is too much for sure on there. We do have the other one. I don't know that this would be, yeah, no. Doesn't really go with the back. It's just kind of the process with it, you know, kind of back and forth and back and forth. Now this might be nice. And still have this up here. I think it's a little bit too much, but I do have black cheesecloth. So, put this back here. And then we'll just kind of put this here as a how does it look thing, and then we can cut it to how we need it. That's the fun part with cheesecloth, is you can kind of pull it and distort it so that it's not completely even. And just have little bits sticking out. But those little bits are kind of all you need to have contrast between your layers. I do kind of like that. Let's see. Let's cut this a little smaller, as if we were totally going to use it. And then we'll decide. I'll put the picture on here. Okay, go back to there. And then with cheesecloth, it's easier to just lay the cheesecloth out first because it does not cooperate very often at all. And then once you glue it down, then you can go around and trim it. I usually trim it once I've sewn it, but might give just enough. You're still seeing the book text. And we may not need these at this point, actually. Let's take these out and see how it looks. Flip that around. Nope. Nope, nope. Actually like these better. A little more subtle. Doesn't have to be completely insane. And see, on this, we can do like we did with the other one, and we can do the green around the edges. Let's see what other colors I have. So we've got copper. Copper goes good with green. And it won't be too matchy-matchy. Yeah, let's do the copper on this. Yep, I think that's done it. That way you get that contrast and you're not actually losing any space. Bring this back in. Make sure my hands are fairly clean and I don't want to move that around too much. Okay, so let's go back to this. And that there, I think. And then this here. So yeah, I think that'll be good without going overboard. And then this will really look nice against there without, you know, making it too gauche, I guess is the word I'm looking for. All right. So we're going to do the same thing with this one. And just for fun, I wonder what the black looks like under this. Because I cannot leave well enough alone. It's just not how I work. Well, it looks kind of cool though. Okay, I know those aren't in the right spot, but Well, crap. Of course I had to go wanting to add something. Alright, and I don't think either of these is large enough for that, but you can kind of fudge it with this. You can kind of pull it down and around. No, you know what? No, I'm not doing that. Stop. Just stop. Okay, let's glue this down before I kill again, shall we? So we will bring this back in and we will look and see how this looks on the front as well. So I'm actually leaning towards the other one as being the one on the front, but this can go on a page inside. You know, we've got the library pocket will be going here, but you know, we can pick, we've got that one page that needs to be covered. Where did it go? Because it's got the magazine stuff, but the one side is kind of blah. Where'd you go? This. So we can maybe put some gesso on there and then put this on here. So I think that's what we'll probably do. Either way, I'm going to go sew around this one and the other one, and we'll bring them back in, and then we'll do another audition and see how they look on the front before making the final decision, and then gluing it down, and then the cover will be done. All right, so here we have it. So I have sewn around both of these, and I used a gold thread on it. It's a bummer because I had a bobbin full of copper thread, but I didn't have the rest of it, so otherwise I would have used that, but here it is with the gold. And so I've brought the journal back out so we can test and see which one we want on the front. So again, we have this one here, which I like, but I can already tell which one it's going to be because I really like that one. So I think this is our winner. Okay, we'll do one more of it. I mean, I love this, but not as much as this. This one really stands out. And then this one also contrasts well with our little shamrock vine business here as well. So this can go here, or maybe this can go here. I don't think we want it on the top. I think that would look weird. Well, maybe not. Ooh, maybe not. Yeah, see, it's always something. You know, you think you got it, and you're like, oh, I've made a decision, and I can be done. Nope, I don't think so. Well, darn. Yeah, let's go this way and put it like so. And that's my cat deciding to say hello to everyone. He's being a complete psycho. He has to go tear up the box, and then he's got to yell at his water because he's got issues. So there you go. So let's see, like this or like this. All right. I don't know what that used to be, but yeah, that was him again. So, oh, I can't decide. Yeah, I think this way. That was the original way I wanted to do it. So, yeah, probably about like that. So let's do this. Let's put our picture on because we know for a fact that is going to go on here. So with this, I definitely want to use the Fabri-Tac because I want it to be on there nice and strong. Okay, so there's that part there. And now for our shamrock vine. And this does have like a little fiddly bit right there. I want to make sure it gets, you know, on the cover so it doesn't go falling off. So I think right about there should do it for it, because it frames it real nice, but it's not kind of overtaking it. Okay, there we go. I like that. Kind of makes me think I need something here, but I don't. I really don't. I need to just stop while I'm ahead. This is actually more ornate than I normally do for the cover, but I saw this chipboard and I'm like, oh, okay, I need this for this cover. It has to go on here. Okay, so there we go. Not bad. So we've got our cover done. We've got our book covers, our book corners on. We have our extra piece that's going to go on the inside of one of the pages, so we'll set it off to the side. And we are ready to do the stuff on the inside. So obviously not this time, but next time we're going to pull all the ephemera out, and I'm going to pull out all of the pockets and library pocket and that sort of thing. And we will start with those and get those in place first, and then we'll see what we have left with the rest of the ephemera, and that's when we'll start making envelopes and just all kinds of fun stuff. I want to do some of Roxy Creations did her weekly challenge, and she did the envelopes with window envelopes. I want to do some of those because those are really cool. Just all kinds of fun stuff. So, all right, so there we go. There we have it. Here's our cover, and I'll kind of bring this up a little closer so you can see the sparkly shiny. So there we go. All right, thank you for joining me, and I hope you enjoyed this, and hopefully I won't have to fast forward too much stuff to make it not an insanely long video, and I will see you guys in the next one. Okay, Have a good day. Bye.